At the bag factory in Newtown, where Izwe Nomhlaba is being exhibited. It's by Nkabinde Mpendulo. It was also curated by Karabelo Timeki, and they form part of the 2025 Young Unframed project. So today we chat to the two young creators and find out the inspiration behind it all. For SABC News, I'm Liesl Wilson. Let's explore further. We are joined by the man of the moment, Nkabinde Mpendulo. He's going to be telling us a little bit more about the exhibition on display and, of course, the inspiration behind it all. Nkabinde, thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Congrats. This is your first solo exhibition. There's a lot of conversations that are obviously being had through the works, and I wonder if you could tell us about that process for you, the inspiration behind it all.
So the inspiration behind my work, I can just say my work comes from my upbringing, and of course comparing how life was before I was sent to school and after I started enrolling in after I started going to primary school, high school and so on. And of course the events or maybe the experiences even throughout the way, because they then introduce me to newer questions, they inspire me to explore more. So that's basically the inspiration of my works.
And I mean, what you've just said is so nuanced, it's so layered, because memory, what we choose to remember and forget, serves us, but it also reminds us of some of our unhealed moments and past as well. And I wonder if we can explore that further, perhaps through the material and the mediums that are used. How intentional were you behind that? Because even just the experience of it, the loud sounds that are evoked, that all adds up to the experience as well.
So in terms of the materials, I would firstly think about what I want the material to communicate first, or what aspect of the ideas that I'm trying to bring forward could be better communicated by which material. So in terms of trying to communicate the idea of memory and erasure.
Your clan names and clan praises that are also written on the rocks. It's very significant for you to acknowledge where you come from and perhaps who you walk alongside. Tell us a little bit more about how elements of identity has come through your works.
Yes, which goes back again to the idea of memory, which is, so the memory is firstly being created by trying to bring this friendship between text and rocks as natural materials, and trying to bring trying to bring up how the earth recognizes our actions as humans who live on it, and how we interact with the biodiversity, and all that interaction being captured within the words that we use every day. So the memory is then embedded in that in those words that we use, which is actually the primary point that I'm trying to make with this show, with the being language as a form of archiving, not just a way of communication. But then I introduce steel and mortals, which are industrially found materials and industrially found objects, just to try and highlight that sort of erasure, because we are now being overpowered by this westernized system or maybe westernized ways of doing things. And then that for me kind of highlights that erasure in the sense that we now tend to undermine our ways of living.
So actually getting to what you would like people to experience as they make their way, where should they start with the exhibition, and what emotions are you trying to evoke? What conversations are you trying to evoke through that?
Yeah, I would just say, firstly, I would like to appreciate freedom, because that is what the exhibition is about doing. So I'm not as concerned about where you start or where you end, but I'm far more concerned about what you want to take away, and I'm also interested in what you are yet to leave. Just like as in this conversation, you have already left what I've already acknowledged.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's raw, it's confronting, and it's certainly, forcing us to face ourselves, perhaps also reflect on the past, where we come from and where we're headed. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC, Nkabinde.
For inviting me.
The curator behind this exhibition, Garabelo Timeki, now joins us to chat a little bit further about this collaboration and perhaps some of the inspiration behind it all. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC at this hour. It's a phenomenal exhibition, and it's so layered. There's so much that goes into it. It's very confrontational. Tell us about the work that went into this and the inspiration behind it all. What are you ultimately wanting to walk away through this facilitation?
Thank you so much, Liesl, for having us. As you saw, the exhibition is part of the Young Unframed program, right? So with the residency, we had to come up with a project or something that we've never done before, as Mpendulo said. So that's where the inspiration comes from, and we decided to take a very autoethnographic, like a more self-reflection kind of approach on his own life, and how his life was disturbed by colonialism, with his parents working far away from home and him being raised by his grandmother. So that was this starting point, and so that was where we started, and then we started thinking about how that impacted him and his relationship with the land, his language, and people that he grew up with.
Yeah.
So that's where this starting point was.
His first solo exhibition, and it's an autoethnographical portrayal of his life. I wonder if you could tell us what that brief was, because you're obviously trying to portray something that's never been done before. What can people experience on that front?
So what I told him was be free, be playful, and he should also fight for his story. So within the work that we do as a solo exhibition, right, there's that grandness and that seriousness that comes with it. But I think for me, what I really wanted him to do was to be free and be explorative, explore, and also just touch on those elements that would rather be overlooked. Yeah, so that was the preview.
This exhibition, Izwe Nomhlaba, is happening at the Bag Factory in Newtown between the 10th and the 31st of May, of course, with a walkabout happening on the 31st of May between 12 and 1 p.m. You do not want to miss this important exhibition, of course, just reflecting on the past, where we are as a nation, and perhaps what the trajectory looks like for the future. But on that note, we'll leave it there. For SABC News, I am Liesl Wilson.